Great, thanks very much. We're doing brilliantly on the time, everyone at 10 minutes. So Christian, you have a hard act to follow, but please can you give us your presentation?
Thank you. Yeah, superb. So we start. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. So my first part will be to make you revive the Paris attack in November 2015. In fact, a year ago here in this room, we had 1 day of lesson learned with all the key players of this response on Paris attacks. So just a few words on the fact itself, and you have to understand that within 30 minutes, we had 7 coordinated attacks in the north and east part of Paris. The first one in the Stade de France, which were with 2 people blow up themselves with a 15-20 minutes interval, and 5 in the east of Paris, using Kalashnikov to shoot people on terrace, and 1 special in the Bataclan, and I will come back, which were the hot scene. But which has been discovered, I will say, in the time, not immediately, maybe 30, 40 minutes later on. First views were typical attacks on terrace and nothing else. I mean, so it's later on in the day that, in this night, sorry, that we understood. So I had prepared only 2 slides. What went well and what went wrong. So I think it's, when you do a lesson learned, it's a basic. And it's really a mix of everything that we have here about that, either, as I said in this room a year ago, and also some other in behind rooms, I would say, behind closed doors, and also with the excellent work which has been done by the report of the National Assembly, which is very, very detailed and give a lot of insight. So what went well? A very good response at the Stade de France, because every people were kept in and avoid, and this has been very well managed, limited the risk for all the people exposed. You know that the president were there at the time, and it has been very well managed, including the Paris fire chief was also in the Stade de France, and he told us we had the 20-30 minutes chaos time. You don't know what's going on, and you got the response and after. But basically, they knew what to do at the place, and that saved probably a lot of people, because they were waiting that the people going out with the first explosion to do another one, and they fell on that. They had to move to another place, and it didn't work. Very good response for the fire and EMS as a volunteer organization, because on the weekend, a part of the first responders are volunteers organization in Paris. And it was very well done on all sides. The medical regulation goes up very fast, and it has been also very well done. Just to give you an idea, every casualties we reach the hospital didn't die, except 1. But you have to understand that in Paris area, we have 10,000 doctors, medical doctors, ready to be called, I would say, in public hospitals, because we have a tremendous networks of public hospitals. So these were very well prepared, regularly trained. So the regulation, and when the people reach the hospital, it was okay. Normal operation has been going smoothly. I mean, they didn't lose anyone from heart attacks this night or whatever, because, you know, in a more than 10 million inhabitant city, it's quite hard. And so this has been going smoothly because the planning was quite good, and it was working well. Reserve has been at 11 p.m., not a.m., 11 p.m. Reserve was ready to go if needed. So reinforcement column has been set up. So all the things, the escalation has been going down. They didn't come finally, but everything we're ready for. And so good command and control anticipation, and that was so basically it was a good response. Unfortunately, everything not going well, and so no, we're going to do what was not really working well. Security issues. First, the difficulty for the police, the coordination for securing the zone. They were not thinking out so many sites at the same time, and it was very hard to get. And some responder has been under fire. including medicals. And even if the military of the Sentinel operation were securing the backstreet facts, they were not able to use their weapon. No order to use a weapon unless legitimated defense, and they didn't use a weapon. And when the policeman asked a military to give his weapon that he could shoot it, military refused. Because the order wasn't there, the framework wasn't there, so they didn't know how to do, and they couldn't get the order for that. So it was of the issue. It has been reviewed since, but it's one of the points. Difficult coordination for road and traffic. It was a narrow street, a complex evacuation done by convoy of ambulances, sometimes slow, sometimes moved away by the police, and so on. It was not very smooth on traffic coordination, but Paris is always a nightmare every day, so you can see with this kind of event. And finally, we didn't have a lot of damage control kit at the time. Only what we call medical ambulances, not first aid ambulances, were equipped with tourniquet, hemostatic bandage, and those. Other were under procurement for months. And it takes long to procure, and they were not there. They had also stretcher issue. I have a very interesting movie. We have no time to go through, but you will see that those has been solved, but they didn't expect to have so many casualties. The tracking systems for victims were not operational at all site, and many people have been lost in the C2 problem for casualties. Communication between forces, not enough channels. So a big issue has been on that, and now the fire department bought a couple of satellite systems to put even in the framework of Paris use, because we know that GSM was used by the authorities, and the radio was already saturated by operation. So a couple of issues on communication. A big question remains, does the president must go on scene within the next 2-3 hours? My personal opinion is none, that the many of others who cannot say the same, but it's a problem for the responders to get authorities on the scene too fast. Lesson learned, always the same methods from the terrorists: massacre, entrenchment. And I have to say that the massacre has stopped when one superintendent came into the Bataclan and shoot one terrorist. It stopped immediately the massacre, and they move upstairs and they retrench. And at the time, it stopped. Only one man with a hand weapon. So you see the interest of going very fast on this scene and not to go like before, cordon, waiting for special units, and so on and so on. So that has changed absolutely the concept today. And the third phase is making attention and dying as a martyr, either exploding, either shooting, and so on. So what I would show the cost, because we were speaking of cost. I have a little bit. I heard about 150 million. I think it's more only for the aspect of the I would say hotels and restaurants, but INSEE estimated to the cost, the overall cost of the French economy to 700 million. So it's a little big, and we don't know yet about after this, but it was also the same, 50 to 100 million. So it's a huge, huge, huge cost for the economy, the indirect attack. So what we have done after, new doctrine for police and first responders, and the new SWAT team, new distribution of the SWAT team, new doctrine for first responders, generalization of damage control. A lot of things has been done for cost, which is roughly 500 to 600 millions, as far I know, all over France and on the 12 months later on. So now I just wanted to say in 1 minute, are we ready for worst? And my opinion is that when you look to all that, what we're interested in is mega shock. We have suffered an exceptional emergency situation, but not a mega shock. Mega shock force is more than 50 billions, and it's So not so many megashock. So I just put a couple of issues you will see on the slide. What I would like to say is that for the megashock we need resilience, and we need to put the whole society prepare, and to have another way of thinking. Today, when you speak about megashock, and we speak about out-of-the-box scenarios, say we have enough already with what we have. So why to think to something that we cannot cope with? And it's not because you cannot cope with that you don't have to think for. And it's very hard, even for a think tank with the authorities, to bring them on these kind of views. Very, very difficult. I don't say that we have to be to fear the people and so on, but we have to think a little bit in advance, with foresight, which is not the case today, I have to say. It's very hard to make people thinking to the next step, and because they are always late for the step before. So I understand, but the resilience, and we must think other way, and I was liking your speech, Jamie, about that, because it's very important. So I'm not going to go we need to talk about that, and we need to think about that, and only thinking is a very big point. So I'm not going further because I'm already at the 10 minutes, so you will find the other things on the slides. Thanks.